Do you have an embroidery machine but you don't have an embroidery editing software or a digitizing software, but you want to create something like this, a beautiful patch? Don't worry yourself, Annie-Marie is here for you, okay? I'm going to teach you how to create this from scratch using your inbuilt designs. Don't go anywhere, darlings. Hey lovelies, it's Annie with Annie-Marie. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for your continued support. So we're going to be using this 4x4 inches hoop for this our embroidery designs, and then we're going to be using this embroidery scissors. It came with a machine, and then we're going to be using this canvas fabric. I use different kinds of fabric like twill, denim, felt, okay? It just needs to be a sturdy fabric and a fabric that will be thick enough to take in your design, all right? Then I'm going to be using this needle 75 by 11. It can be sharp or ballpoint, okay? I use Organ products. I love it. It came with my machine and I continued using the brand. Now we're going to be using a cutaway stabilizer. This is actually a fusible cutaway stabilizer. It has a shiny part which has, you know, the place that the glue is on, and then the peppery dull side, all right? But I'm not going to be gluing it to our part. I'm going to be floating this design. Okay, now that we have everything ready, the first thing we're going to do is to take up our hoop, loosen it a bit so that we'll be able to hoop our stabilizer, okay? So there is a knob at one end of the hoop. We're going to loosen it and release the top cover, and then we're going to take our stabilizer with the visible side facing up and place it on the hoop, okay? Now what we're going to do now is to make sure that the stabilizer covers it properly. And now if you look at your hoop, you will see an arrow, okay, that comes down, and then on the other one it goes up. You make sure that you always align it whenever you're hooping your stabilizer or your project. If you turn it the other way, it's not really going to align very well. If you're embroidering or doing something with your machine, it might loosen up and you can break a needle, okay? So when aligned like this, we'll have to make sure that our stabilizer is taut but not too tight, okay? I don't like tightening so much. And then we're going to fix back the knob, okay? We're going to turn it to make sure that the stabilizer is tight but not too tight. And once we're through with this, the next thing is to attach it to the embroidery arm, okay? There is a hook beside the hoop. We just push it in and it just clicks in. Now we have our design already in the machine, okay? So what we have to do is to get closer to the screen and choose our placement stitch, because that's the first thing, choosing the placement stitch, okay? So we have our alphabets and the built-in design and then some patterns in here, and we're going to choose a placement stitch. We're going to click the one that has the heart and the square, and when we click on it, it's going to show us different patterns. We have circle, square, you know, all manner of shapes, and we're going to be choosing the circle, okay? Now when we click on this circle, it's going to show us other types of it. Now these ones are thick satin stitches, and we don't need it for a placement stitch. A placement stitch needs to be something simple, and now we're going to be choosing this one that looks simple. It's perfect for a placement stitch, so we choose it. And now if you look at the size, it's showing us 2.64, which is actually bigger than what you will normally use for a patch, especially a patch that you put on a face cap, okay, or maybe for a logo. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take it and then we will resize it, okay? So we have to go to the editing part. Now we're going to click on the size, and when we click on the size, we're going to see this arrow that points towards inside of this box. That's the one we're going to choose, and then we start reducing it. Now we need to reduce it to 2.47 or 2.48, but not 2.5, because our main part needs to be around the 2.5. I mean, the area that we need to do everything is 2.5. So we're choosing the 2.47 is perfect. Make sure it's well centered, and then it's good to go. Okay, now that we have it the way we want it, it's time to embroider it on the patch. Okay, so we're going to pick up our canvas fabric. Now I used to, because I have other colors that are thick enough, which were black and carton color. All right, so I had to double up on this one because I really need it to be thick. Okay, this was on the lighter part, so I used 2 pieces. Now I'll make sure that it's well centered in my hoop. All right, I about this, okay, because of course I know the size of my hoop. I made sure that it's actually bigger than 2.5, and that is what you should be doing. And now once it's well centered, I place it down, bring down my presser foot, and then I okay it. Click on the start and stop button and it's good to go. Okay, so now I'll click on it and then it will sew our placement stitch. And there it goes. It's all done. Okay, finished embroidering. So I'm going to click on the OK and I'll show you how it looks. There it is, looking beautiful and simple. Now the next thing we're going to do is to cancel this pattern and choose our design. All right, so we go back to the screen. We start clicking on this sign. Okay, we'll continue clicking on it until it brings out cancel this particular pattern. Okay, you can see it here. So we're going to click on OK. It will take us back to this place. Now the next thing is to choose an inbuilt design that will suit what we have in mind for our patch. Now when we click on here, we have to use this arrow to go through the designs. Now when you're scouting for a design, you're looking for a design that will not be more than 2 inches and at least will be between 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Okay, so I chose the design because it's 1.98 inches and it is already well centered. Okay, it's just perfect. Like I said, it has to be between 1.5 to 2 inches, so this fits. Another thing you put into consideration when you're choosing your pattern is the shape of the design that you actually want. Okay, now my frame or placement stitch is circular in shape. That is why I chose this design. Okay, and it's going to fit into my placement stitch. Okay, so now that I know that everything is good to go, I have to end my edit. Okay, of course it's well centered. All right, and it will show me my color palette. Okay, my color charts, the way it's going to come. I'm not going to be using these colors in particular because I want to change it to suit what I have in mind. Okay, and you can do this really. Now that I know the colors, I will set them out on my 3-in-1 embroidery thread stand. Okay, and you can do this whenever I'm doing multicolored designs. I love using a separate thread stand. Okay, so the first design, or rather the first part of the design, is already stitched out and I chose black as against the gray or white that was on the design. So I will keep changing the thread colors off camera because I need this to be fast. Okay, so I've switched to the second color and I will continue doing this until I'm through with the design. So the second color is done now. It's going to tell me to switch to the third color, which is blue, and I'm going to change to the blue and continue designing it. Okay, you can see how it's going smoothly. And there is something about embroidery. When you're doing it and you're just changing the colors, your design might look awkward. It might look weird. You'd be like, what's going on here? But trust me, when everything is stitched out, it looks beautiful. I mean, it gives me this satisfaction, that, oh, I saw this through. It looks perfect. Okay, so this is exactly the way it is going to be looking right now. It's going to be looking, a little bit weird, but I'm adding all the colors, and trust me, when I'm done with this, you will see how beautiful it will turn out. And that's the way your projects are going to turn out too, if you're careful with your color palette. All right, whenever you have a design, you must not use the colors on that particular design. You can choose your colors. Okay, you can mix your primary colors with secondary colors. Just do you. And now I'm done with this design, and it's going to tell me on the screen, finished embroidering. All right, now we've gotten to the last part of the design, which is to choose a satin stitch that is going to be the border. So we're going to now go back to where we chose our circle pattern. All right, we're going to choose it again, but we're not going to be using that same placement stitch. We're going to choose the one that is thicker, that looks like a satin stitch. All right, the other ones had more of decorated look, but this looks simple, more like satin stitch. Now, if you look at the size, it is 2.78, which is bigger than our placement stitch. So we're going to choose it, but of course, we're going to resize it. Okay, so we have to go to our size, click on it, and then we're going to shrink it down. Okay, we're going to make it smaller. So while you're clicking on it, you'll be looking at the size to make sure that it gets to 2.47 or 2.48. Remember, our placement stitch was 2.47. Everything we're doing is going to be less than or equal to 2.5 inches. All right, so it is well centered now, and we chose 2.48 and we're good to go. So I'm going to be using red thread for this instead of the gray that they recommended. So here it is, stitching out, and trust me, it's going to look awesome when we're done. So this is your simple way of doing a patch with your machine without using any editing softwares, without digitizing anything. And these stitches are almost done. I'll raise my presser foot and I'm going to bring it out from the machine, and you will see what we did together. This looks beautiful, okay? And if you've been following me here, you will know that I'm very frugal when it comes to my embroidery supplies. If this was not a tutorial for beginners, I would have used half of this stabilizer to create this part, trust me. But right now I'm going to unhook it, and I'm going to use my scissors to cut off this extra stabilizer because I'll be using it for smaller projects in the future. So I'm going to go off camera and trim off all this, and I'm going to cut it around the satin stitch to give it a neat finishing. Now let's see the final result. And there we have it. I mean, isn't this amazing? This looks so beautiful. I mean, if anybody told you that you can create this from scratch using just your embroidery machine, you won't believe it. Now you can use Heat and Bond Ultra Hold at the back if you want to adhere it to your fabric, and you can also use zigzag and satin stitches to attach it to your fabric. This is lovely. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts at the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Until later, lovelies. Ciao.